Is this video clickbait? It is not. Usually when I make my YouTube videos, I generally have either a script, touch points, or something or a way to make the video to make it make sense. In this case, I do not. This is just going to be a conversation around the title of this video, which is not a clickbait. But in the current state of bodybuilding, something I've been following since I was literally in high school, achieving a pro card in men's, which I will end up in men's super heavies, naturally is just not something that is very feasible, seeing how far this sport has evolved. And I think we all knew that when I announced that I was going to be chasing the pro card, I think we all knew that this day was coming, where not that I ever have claimed natural in the past, since I've been incredibly open about my TRT and about the peptides and everything of the sort, but it's time to take it up a level where the super or the spicy supplements are going to have to come into play if I want to achieve something that I know I can, I know I have the genetics to support, and I know I have the work ethic to achieve. Now, that being said, one thing I wanted to do before actually diving into this new world of enhancements was that I needed to be perfectly on schedule, perfectly on track with my routine and everything of the sort for at least a full month before changing anything, which I have been. And my reasoning behind that is very simple. Why would I potentially put my health in a position of risk if I'm not going to take every single measure possible to not only mitigate some of these risks, but also just put myself in a position where I'm going to extract the most out of these enhancements? And that's why I find it completely ridiculous when people start doing this kind of stuff and then they keep drinking and they don't really focus on their sleep patterns and they don't track their workouts or they don't eat perfectly. Because these are all things that at the end of the day are going to take away from the potential of these things. And I want to essentially squeeze every drop of the lemon, if that makes any sense in this context here. So with that being said, I have been completely perfect on my routine as of the last month. I am fully back into it ever since obviously being post-op and being able to work out again. I have not missed a single cardio, workout, meal. My sleep has been impeccable, where I used to only be able to get like 3 hours a night. Now I'm like essentially forcing myself to be getting at least 5 a night, which for me is a very, very big upgrade. And also I am literally using an entire tackle box worth of supplements and vitamins to make sure that I mitigate the risk of taking some of these enhancements. I'm not kidding. It's a literal tackle box. And again, yes, this might seem extreme, but what I'm doing should be perceived as extreme and not normal. So at no point should anybody be following my footsteps, especially if you don't already have every single aspect of your life in check, and that you know for a fact that you can keep everything in check for a very long period of time, while also making sure that you know the risks that you're putting yourself through. I mean, currently I'm 32, turning 33, and I know that the second I reach the age of 35, I'm going to be done doing this, for the simple fact that most people that do get injured on long time use of these things generally come around that age, because that's when your body starts, well, not performing as well. So here are some of the, I suppose, guidelines that I will be sticking to as we go through this. One being that obviously I will be incredibly transparent, as I'm currently being right now. I don't think I can get much more transparent than this. And two, and I will not talk on specific of compounds or dosages for a few reasons. One, I don't think it is ethically correct for me to do so. I think there's a lot of misinformation flying around at the moment. I think that, and I know for a fact that I do have some younger audiences that are watching my videos, and I know that what's going to work for me, as dictated by my coach, is not necessarily something that could work for others and could potentially put them at a very and could potentially put them in harm's way, which is obviously not what I'm trying to do. I think there's a lot of good information out there. It's just a matter of finding it. And simply also because if you're getting all your information from some stranger on the internet that you've never had a conversation with, chances are you're not ready to do them, and you should reevaluate your priorities. Another reason why I won't get into the specifics of it is simply because there are some health markers for me that are going to be very different from everybody else, simply based on the fact that I have Crohn's disease. And that some of my blood panels will come in differently than most, simply due to the fact that I'm on some medication that automatically raise my liver enzyme levels and my kidney levels, which means that I'm going to be very, very vigilant on this. I got my first blood test done on Saturday, and I will be getting a full panel testing done every 2 to 3 weeks just to ensure that things are not going sideways, as anybody that is doing these similar type of decisions should do. And with that being said, one thing I will be incredibly transparent about is I will try to document as well as possible the good, the bad, and the ugly. Meaning I won't shy away from talking about when I do get side effects from it that are bad. If there is anything ugly that were to happen throughout this whole journey, I will try to document it as well as possible. Yes, obviously, the physical changes that I will experience will most likely be seen as such as a way to glorify them, but I will make sure to be very open about everything else happening in my life just to ensure that you get the full picture and not just the Instagram super feed of everything is great, I'm getting jacked, and I feel awesome, because I'm quite sure that's not what's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to feel pretty shitty at some points here during the journey. But just another quick reason why I'm not going to say anything specific or compounds is simply because of the fact that admitting to a crime on the internet is fucking wild to me, and I definitely don't plan on doing that. And I would just like to make a very strong note that every single one of my doctors is aware of this decision, they know it's coming, and essentially I've given them the warning that I'm going to be getting my blood tested every so often to make sure that nothing goes awry. So I'll walk you through what I'm going to be taking every day in terms of health supplementation to make sure that I stay healthy during this. And then honestly, I'm going to open up the floor to any questions, and I will try to get through them as much as possible. So if you have anything you would like to ask, put it in the comments, and I will either get to it in the comment section itself or make note of it and answer it in a later video. So in my tackle box of wonders, what I'll be taking every day is I'll be taking a large dose of omega-3s, and this should help with cardiovascular health as I'm taxing it through some of these decisions. I'm going to be taking some cholesterol support because, as we all know, even TRT has the potential to increase your LDLs and decrease your HDLs, which can lead to plaque and other bad things in your cardiovascular systems, as well as other things. I'll be taking some immune support. This is mostly because of the fact that I have Crohn's disease and I am on a biologic agent, which absolutely kills my immune system. And yeah, I'm not trying to get sick too much. I'll be taking the organ support because this is going to help support my liver as I tax it. Same with my kidneys. I'll be taking every single day 1 milligram of oral BPC 157 and KPV. This should help with inflammation factors in my, and just keep my gut health in check while we go through this to avoid certain side effects, as well as I will be taking in terms of peptides daily for the next little period of time. I'll be taking tesofensine and 5-amino-1-MQ. There are some compounds that I would like to stay away from at the moment. That is a very popular one that everybody talks about so much for cutting, called clenbuterol. I will take ephedrine, which you cannot buy anymore in Canada, so I did buy some before they took it out of stores a few months back, but this is only going to be during the next cutting phase. And as for the injectable peptides that I will be taking currently to keep myself healthy, because obviously the fat loss portion will be mostly due to food and increased activity, I'll be taking NAD+, glutathione, tirzepatide, obviously to maintain my hunger control and Crohn's from flaring up. What's the last one? Oh, I can't remember the last one. 1 second. As well as copper tripeptide, simply because this has been helping my skin clear a lot. I had a bit of a reaction to a medicine I took a while ago that scarred up my back pretty good. With that being said, I've like I said at the start of the video, this is not to have anybody follow in my footsteps. This is just to document the process as best as humanly possible and to stay transparent with you all. I was pretty nervous about making this video in the first place because I had no idea how people would react. But I decided that it would be a net positive thing to just be honest with the world, because I refuse to be one of those fake natties on the internet that'll sell protein powder or some weird new supplement and say that that's the reason why I achieved the physique that I did. And before anybody comes at me and says, oh, you've only been in the gym for about 2 years documenting it, don't you think that you should spend a little bit longer before doing this? I actually agree with the fact that people should definitely push their natural boundaries before any sort of enhancements. And to give you an idea, I've been in the gym since I was, 18 years old. I started documenting and I was on what seems to be a 13-year bulk, but with a 680 deadlift, 495 bench, and a roughly 650 squat. I can confidently say that I've pushed my natural boundaries quite far and that I'm not making this a lighthearted decision. So, with that being said, if you stick with me on this journey, things are about to get a little crazy. And I've been really thinking about the style of videos that I want to make going forward, because to be honest, having this type of honest conversation with the camera felt very good. And I was just thinking, would you like for me to make more content, just more very raw documenting content like this, or stick to my more project style videos that I can only pump out like once every week and a half, 2 weeks? Let me know. I'm very curious. If you would like to support me in any way, all my links to the sponsors that I'm with are currently in the comments in the description below. But other than that, I think this is going to be a pretty cool next chapter, and I'm very excited to be taking with all of you. So, as always, let's change the world together.